The police committee, police station committee meeting to order. Anybody taping the meeting? Mr. Sadik?
For the committee.
For the committee, yes. He's going to be our secretary.
And free camp.
He's going to take the minutes, and free camp's here. We'll leave the approval to minutes to the end of the meeting so we can get started, because I think everybody really, it's been a while, a lot's gone on. We finally agreed upon our contract. We went over a couple of things, so I feel like we're on a good path right now. Now it's time to, you know, hit the pavement and run with it. So I'm just going to turn the meeting over to them, and then Rick and Taylor, and then if you want to just go around the room and introduce yourselves one more time, seeing this is our first meeting. So we'll start with Charlie.
Charlie Sullivan.
Paul Sadik.
Jack Healy. Mark Fornashari.
Carlton Abbott.
Lisa?
Mary Resendiz Brown.
Ben Lebeck.
Taylor McDonald.
Rick Conroy.
Perfect.
Great.
So I'm going to turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, good evening, and we're looking forward to getting this thing rolling. So I did put together some talking points for today. I think everybody's got a copy, but if you don't, it's probably in the package, but there's some more here if you need them.
I think it might be on the next page. Yeah.
And I just thought we would start with some cleanup items. Is the contract ready for signature at this point, or is it, we haven't gotten anything back yet, so.
We signed that a long time ago.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was just gonna be delivered today. But, all right.
I don't know. I thought you had sent it.
You sent us 2 copies.
Yeah.
One with the right name and one with the not right name on it. We signed the one with the correct name on it.
Yeah. and-
That was about, I want to say a month ago,
Okay, all right.
so
Hallie would have sent it out, right?
Yours is dated,
I'm not, it was
Yeah,
given
we-
back to Ally, so.
Yeah, we redid the signature page.
You did the signature and we did one too, so.
Okay,
Yeah, we thought you might have it tonight, or maybe that's why I wasn't sent in the mail, but
Ally was out sick today, so I'm
Yes.
thinking that that was probably what happened.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
All right. Let me write that down and make sure we get that in the mail to you tomorrow.
It's not a, I just.
Yeah, I'd just rather have
yeah.
you have it and
Good.
everybody be on the same page.
All righty, and we, just to reiterate, you know, I guess, you know, all of our communications will go through you, Lisa, is that correct?
Yes.
And we're very comfortable with that. I think it's going to be great. And we have no problem receiving emails from any of the committee members whatsoever. But from a reporting perspective and answering any questions, if we do answer questions from emails, we're probably going to do it through the chair, like you would if it was a public meeting or what have you. And of course, we can't deliberate over emails, but we're open to any questions anybody has, phone calls, what have you. But just so you know that, you know, we like to have one point of contact. So whatever we do or say will be reported to Lisa, so that the chair is fully aware of what's going on. I don't expect that we're going to have any communication issues whatsoever. We never do. But we just like to establish that, you know, who we will be reporting to.
yeah, that becomes more important in construction, really, too. Things are happening quickly.
Right.
Then we did receive that existing the needs assessment that we had that was completed by ACG, and we'll keep a record of that. And, as things move forward, we would like to see a comparison of the whomever the project architect is compared to the needs assessment that was reported to the town. So we'll work through that with the designer and report back to you on that. So that's just for record. We did prepare a draft RFQ for the designer, and I didn't know if you wanted to go through that as a committee or leave it up to the chair and the town administrator, but we're open to go through that right now if you'd like. It's really your prerogative how you'd like to handle that.
I already started, like I told Taylor,
Okay.
making some changes or some, like, just had questions about some of the things. So I already started redlining it, but I would I would hope that the rest of the committee would have the same opportunity to do
Good.
that. But if you wanted to highlight some of the areas within the RFQ that are essential to how things are gonna move forward, I think that that would be
Okay.
prudent.
That'd
We
be
can
our
cer-
pleasure.
Yeah, certainly do that. And sorry.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna jump in. This is a typical RFQ that we use with the communities. It works, and it's pretty cut and dry, so.
Yeah, I think obviously because everybody's seeing it for the first time, normally what we do is we give it to the committee and, they have a week to give us their comments
Yeah.
on it before we go, a hard line with it. So, that would probably be our goal today, is we'll go through the hitting points of it, and then, the committee can take it back and let us know if they have any comments on it.
We're just gonna work off of one another and interrupt each
Oh,
other.
absolutely.
Okay.
If we don't mind. But the proposal due date, let's just start with that. We've given you in C of the designer section of the talking points, we'd like to see this move pretty quickly. And we literally could, if you'd like to, we could advertise or post in the Central Register this week, and it would be out public next week, which would give us a week to review comments and make modifications. Or we can push it off one more week and take a little bit more time in reviewing this. It's entirely up to you and what your comfort level is. So what we would like to see this get out in the street sooner than later. So maybe we go through this first, and then we can make that decision, all right? Jack, most of our communities want everything to go through your office, so we put you down as the proposals would be available through your office, if that's okay.
Okay with me. I'm not gonna be here after the end of June.
Okay, well, we'll be done before that. So
Okay, that's good.
with this part of it, not with the project, of course.
How are you? Perfect.
Tough traffic out there, David.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tough. I sent you an email, Jack. Sorry I'm late.
It's okay. We got it.
So the first and second page, most everything has been populated with exception for the due dates. So after we firm up our schedule, we can fill those in. There's a lot of the legal mumbo jumbo in here, as well as the procurement guidelines for Chapter 149. And those are cited in here. And again, this is pretty much the standard form that we use with all of our communities. So.
Yeah, this exact form, with some modifications, was just used in Lakeville.
One of the things that I wanted to nail down was under scope of services on page 3, was how we were to, and I'm not sure the extent of the agreement with Kelly for scope of work, so I didn't know how to spell that out, or even if we should spell it out in the RFQ.
I think that's something that we should talk to Kelly about at the same time. I mean,
Okay.
we do have their services, they are part of the warrant articles, so they are on board with all of this. So I would say, I would probably leave them in. I don't
Okay.
know, how does the rest of the committee feel about it? We already have them on board, I would hate to
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave them.
Okay, so I think between you and I, we can work through the language, because I think it should be reported to the designers in the RFQ.
It has to be.
Correct, yeah, I think it has to be. Can we go up a paragraph,
Sure.
because you have special town meeting, October 18th, 2016, which, and then the vote is, that's fine, but then you have the meeting in June of 2017.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not gonna happen.
Right. So, yeah, we didn't highlight that.
Okay.
I'm glad you pointed that out, though. So what is and that's something that we wanted to discuss later
That
on.
schedule
but
is-
What is, we put together a schedule for you so you can see kind of where we're going to be. It seemed to me from the RFQ for us that you wanted to go back to town meeting with bids in hand.
Correct.
Um,
Yes, right? Yes.
So based upon a rough schedule that we prepared, bids in hand, depending upon ultimately the designer's schedule, if we were to move at a good pace, we would be looking at bidding this during the December, January period of, at the end of 2017.
Which we all felt was a really good time to go out to bid.
Mhm.
Exactly,
Okay.
okay. And then, so then we would go, would there be a special town meeting scheduled after that, you think? Or would you wait?
We can have a special town meeting at any, we can call a special town meeting at
Okay.
any time.
All right, good.
So that doesn't really even need to be, set in stone right now, because
So-
there's so many moving parts, but at any time, we can set a special town meeting.
So we can revolve that around when our bidding comes in.
What's the proposed date now to go to the, for approval?
For town meeting. I mean, we're not gonna be ready, we won't,
I know she said we're not gonna be ready
No,
for
we're not
June.
gonna be ready for
But
June.
what's the proposed date right now?
It would be early next year. If you were gonna go with bids.
Early next, in
Yeah,
the
2018.
calendar year 18?
Yes. If you were to go with bids in hand, yeah. Now, after we get the designer on board, we may be able to get a little bit more aggressive with that. We're just being rather conservative right now. So we don't even need to identify, I'm gonna rewrite that and
Yeah,
send it over
that's
to you, Lisa.
perfect.
Okay?
Yeah.
we need to spell annual right too.
Okay. Where are you?
We're on page 3 of 34.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We can move over.
Our other select board has joined us, Rob Joes.
Hi, how are
Sorry,
you?
I had mentioned I was gonna be late, unfortunately. Taylor McDonald. Nice to meet you, Taylor.
So we'll change that, and be a little bit more clear on that. And we've just, this was a duplicate from what
Right.
the owner's project manager's background was. The scope of services, we have laid it out in 2 phases, one through bidding, and then the second phase would be construction after approval to proceed, so everyone is clear on that, the architect as well as anybody else. We've laid out a basic schematic design, a basic phase 1 scope, and we've, it's pretty standard. Starts with project programming through schematic design, all the way through bidding. We haven't gotten, we don't typically lay out a real detailed scope. If we rely on the designers to be submitting that information with their packages. And if you're okay with this, I'm sure you're gonna wanna take a look at it and give us back
Yeah.
comments, but it's pretty standard. And then on page 5, we have the minimum qualifications for the applicants. You may want to take particular, pay attention to that. If there's anything in there that you would like to see us change.
Or add.
Or add, that's fine.
I've marked some of that up, so.
Okay, good. And then we have, also on page 5, is the requirements for the application. In other words, the information that they're supposed to be providing with their proposals. And we have a review checklist for the proposals as well as the interviews that follows this form. And that's not something you need right now, but it lays out very similar to the way that you had laid out the OPM guidelines. Then on page 6 lays out our evaluation criteria. And again, we'll provide you with our ranking forms, our suggested ranking forms for you to take a look at when the time comes to evaluate the proposals. And then on page 7, it identifies how the selection process will take place.
You may want to pay attention to how you want to run the interview. Right now we have a 45-minute time allotted. However you want to ask questions or have them present, that's completely up to the town as well.
Was everybody comfortable the way we did it the last time with the interview process and the time allotment?
sure.
Yeah.
All right.
You gave an hour, didn't you, last time?
Yeah, so we gave like 45 minutes and then we ended up talking for a little while, so.
So, I think that's what we've been sort of running lately too, is, 45 minutes with 15-minute
Yep.
slot afterwards.
Mhm.
Page 8 is the information with regards to the schedule. Now, we can go either way. We don't necessarily believe that you need a designer briefing because it's a new project, and sometimes they have a tendency to be a waste of time. People just send someone to sign that they attended and call it a day. So, but once we identify what our schedule is, then we can lay out for you what we think an appropriate timeline would be for interviews and shortlist candidates and so on and so forth. But we'd like to get this, we'd like to see this very short fuse on this to get moving.
Mhm.
And then general provisions is pretty much, you might want to take a close look at that and see if there's anything in there that you want to add from a town perspective. These are pretty much standard statements. It discusses the fees, which will be negotiated following the selection of the architect engineer who is most qualified. Insurance requirements, if you could just double check with the town agent. We did bump up professional liability and errors and omissions to $2 million, which is getting to be more of a standard these days.
I think that's what you had in there for the OPM too, so.
Mhm.
And then the contract, I don't know if you have a standard boilerplate contract that you like to use or not, but we have provided a sample agreement, and this, I think, was something that Lakeville had used, is that right?
Yeah.
So it's depending upon if you have a standard contract that you like to use or not. A lot of communities will actually require the chosen architect to submit a draft contract review, so it can be handled that way as well.
Mark will review it too.
Yeah.
So
If Blake goes into it, he probably has already.
he already,
seen it.
right, so it'll probably be
Yeah.
easy for him.
I'll send him a copy tomorrow. We'll send him the whole thing.
Then there's some certificates, the standard certificates at the end, the non-collusion tax certificates, and so on and so forth.
All typical forms that are mandatory with these types of submissions.
So it's pretty cut and dry. So it really depends upon how quickly we want to get it out in the street. If you'd like to shoot for next week, we would need comments back by Monday, then we'd have to have some time to go back and forth to make sure that you're comfortable with it. It may make more sense to get everything ready to go out a week from, or 2 weeks from today, to give everybody a little bit more time.
So the airing schedule, just so, it's the same type of airing schedule you did with the OPM, so we would need to make publication to the state by Thursday of this week for it to air in the Central Register on Wednesday of next week. So if we push it off a week, then it airs the
That's
next
right.
Wednesday. Yeah,
You gotta
so.
send that in, Taylor?
Say that again?
You're gonna send that in?
Yes.
Yes,
we will.
yeah, we notify them.
If you're looking for comments from the committee, how are you gonna, we can't make next week, right? I mean, if we all have different comments.
So I was
don't
gonna
we have to have a
suggest,
meeting to-
well, that's exactly what I was gonna suggest. If we could have a meeting, and we may have to push it off just a
Sure,
tad, because
yeah.
if we have a meeting on maybe what's Tuesday? We have a meeting on, we have a meeting on Tuesday, right?
No, I don't have a meeting. I have.
Okay, there is a meeting on Tuesday.
You and Bob have a meeting.
Is everybody,
somebody
or,
else.
huh?
There's a Tuesday meeting at 6.
The 6th, is it?
Yeah, at 6.
Is
It's on the
anybody
4th.
available on Tuesday? Say for an
It's
hour?
the 4th, isn't it?
The 4th.
4th at 6, Yeah.
It's the day after the election, yes.
Right. Is anybody available?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so why don't we have like a 1 hour down and dirty meeting to kick around some ideas or make suggestions, and then I can get that off to you on Wednesday morning,
Okay.
okay?
5
Would you like us to come to the meeting?
If you want to, but I don't think it's necessary for you to come all the way down here if we're just gonna
I'm available that day if you, I don't know what Rick's schedule is.
It's
but-
up to the committee, don't look at me, I mean, we're a
You
group
wanna
here.
come one?
Yeah,
Right.
I'll be here.
Right.
You might be able to answer some questions right
That's
there.
right.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll plan to be here at least.
What time do you wanna do it?
Well, we have a meeting at 6, but I think our agenda's light because of the new,
Right,
the new selectmen.
so
meeting.
6:30?
So 6:30,
6:30.
6:30,
And then if we have anything after, we'll just stay later. Okay, perfect.
we can just push.
is it Tuesday, how much?
Yeah, Tuesday.
So then we'll plan on notifying the Central Register next week, so that we'll have time to digest the discussion from Tuesday.
Right, and then if Mark wants to review anything, we'll still have that time, so
Good.
that'll work out better, instead of everybody feeling like, you know,
I agree.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
That's at 6:30.
Yes,
I have two questions.
go ahead, anytime.
Question number one is, what is the estimated square footage we're looking at now? Have we arrived at that?
I don't believe so.
Okay, is the 7 million, is that the total cost, or, well, this is just an
Yeah,
estimate?
I don't know. That was what was posted
that
by
was the
the
figure
town
that
for
we
the
had come
owner's
up with.
project manager. So
Okay,
we can actually not post at all if you'd prefer.
but the amount,
Yeah, we don't have to post an amount.
well, we don't know what that amount is, because we don't know what,
Correct.
No, right.
so
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't post this.
Yeah, that's fine.
That
had-
information was in the OPM package, and we carried that over thinking you might wanna post the same thing.
Approximate square footage though, would you post that, because that's pertinent to a bid.
Yeah, that's what I.
And we've honed in on what approximately we want, correct?
Yeah, around 50.
Carlton?
I don't think we, you know, solidified a
We,
number. but
no, we didn't solidify it, but we
approximated,
threw around some,
something upwards of 11 to 15,000.
Okay. So why don't we just say approximately 12,000 square feet? Does that make sense?
Approximately.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a huge difference to the designer, because they're, gonna be going through the program anyway, and, they're gonna be coming up with that square footage number.
right, I think you should go with the 15, personally, I think
Okay.
we should go with the 15. And then if in the future we have to scale it back, we're already scaling it back instead of going the other way. I think it's easier to scale back than it is to add to, so I'd rather go with the larger number.
Approximately 15,000.
No more than.
Wow. Well, approximately can go either way.
I think that's a ceiling, yeah.
So I think I'm just going to rewrite what we had in the background there. We can hold off till next Tuesday and we can discuss it then. So we
Right,
don't have to
so
have
just-
multiple documents flying around.
Okay, just everybody, if you can come in prepared, we'll be able to go straight through it, so just come in with your red lines.
Okay.
Thank you.
So if you look at C, we had laid out two schedules, an early schedule and a later schedule. I think we've agreed we're going to go with the later schedule. So the Central Register notification will have to be in by the 5th.
Yep.
For the 6th. The airing would be out on the 12th. So it comes out on a Wednesday morning and people start
It'll
calling.
be on the 10th.
Or the 10th.
No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the 12th, yes. I was looking at May.
And we were looking at giving the designers 3 weeks to complete the package. Is everyone comfortable with that? Most of these firms have done it so many times that they have the generic information and they have some personal, they want to personalize each one, but 3 weeks is more than enough time to get that together.
Did you say it was going to be in the register on the 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing again. I don't know why I'm saying
That's why we work so well
Yeah.
together.
It's the schedule.
I thought I checked those.
Yeah, no, you did. You were right, you're right. And then it's
So-
due the 3rd.
Well,
So
that's
then
great.
we're looking for packages on the 3rd. And then traditionally, what we would like to do is if the packages are due here on a Wednesday, either one of us would come down, record them, separate them into packages for each one of the committee members, and then suggest we meet, the following Tuesday, if that's okay. It sounds like Tuesdays are probably the better days for everybody.
Is that okay with everybody?
Not the first
Doesn't
and
matter.
Yeah,
You or
it
I.
first
Tuesday
and
is-
second Tuesday of every month, I have board meetings.
Yeah, the planning board also. Wednesdays are actually better.
Wednesdays?
And May,
Wednesday.
Tuesdays are hard for me in May.
Okay, Wednesdays,
Wednesdays are better.
Wednesdays better.
not for you, huh?
Yeah,
RFQ issue.
that's gotta be my worst day of the week,
Okay,
unless
Well, Thursday.
How about Thursday?
Thursdays.
Oh, well.
Thursday?
Thursday nights.
Mondays are fine, but we'd have to do every other,
Mm,
The opposite, selectmen meeting.
yeah. It's up to you.
It's all right with me. Tuesdays though, I have planning board.
Conservation would not work for
Okay.
On which one?
On Mondays?
Yeah.
You have
Every
one
Monday?
every
me.
Monday?
No, every other Monday.
Do you have it
But off, it's off.
off of ours? All right, forget it, Thursday.
Thursday?
I tried.
And then is there a preference to first or third or second or fourth on Thursdays?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Okay.
I would prefer
Yeah,
second to
I
fourth.
can do,
Because
I can
I
do
do
two
have
in the
a
morning if
meeting
you
on
want.
Thursday.
I don't, the
Sounds-
day
that
is
sounds
ours.
pretty good.
Yeah.
There you
I'll
go.
try to do that then.
Second and fourth?
What do you have?
I have to take a look at it.
So I think what we'd be looking to do is if the packages are due on the 3rd of May, we'd like to be able to, if we meet the following Thursday, to review them and shortlist our candidates. Would that be reasonable?
Yes.
What time?
You tell us,
Should we do it early? What, on 5:30?
Yeah.
I got a ZBA meeting.
What's that? I can't,
I got a
5:30.
second and fourth ZBA meeting at 7:30.
Third,
yep,
so we're looking at,
5:11.
yep.
That won't be a problem for many meetings.
next
so.
Tuesday.
Okay. So 5:11 at,
Yep.
did you want to do 5:30? Is that right, Jack?
The 11th?
Yeah.
11 May, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that good for you?
It's fine with me.
Okay. No, are you gonna be here?
Would they, that's the second,
That-
that's the
that's-
second week, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, the second or fourth week.
All right.
One of the things we like to do, and it's not required, but we like to identify in the RFQ
11th is
um,
5:30.
the interview dates, so that firms, if they feel as if they don't want to jinx themselves, may just block out their calendar because it gets so busy. We don't have to firm that up now, but if we're going to name our finalists on the 11th, hopefully, then we'd like to be able to schedule those interviews. I'd like to have them pre-scheduled for the following week, so that we're not spending another week, giving people notice. And so we find it pretty aggressive, but we'd like to add in the RFQ that the town of Freetown is going to be interviewing and shortlist candidates on this date. That way, even if we were to call them 2 days before, we feel that they've had adequate notice. So the following week, is everyone okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Following week would be the 18th.
You're not here, Jack, so,
No, I'm not.
okay. You could do, we could move our Board of Selectmen's meeting. We have one on the 15th, but we could move it. So, you can't make the 15th?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay. That's a Monday, but that's kind of tight. If they're notified on the 11th, then,
40.
yeah, that's kind of tight. Ooh.
We could do the 15th, 16th, we could do that whole week.
I personally like the 15th.
We can do the 15th and 16th?
Did you split them up with the OPMs and do 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we say
So
the
why don't we
15th
do
and
the 15th and 16th on that, because Jack's away the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
May 15th
Will
and
you-
16th.
Will you
Yes.
guys send out a calendar?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So we got the fourth, the
we'll
11th.
send out a
You
schedule.
have everybody's email
Yes.
address.
Yeah,
We'll send a whole schedule to Lisa, so we're all on the same page.
What time are we looking at with this one? 5:30, 6 o'clock, or?
well, if we have 4,
Yeah.
we'll do 2 one night and 2 the
Like
other,
we
Yeah.
did the last time.
like we did the last time, so 5:30 to 6:30, and then 6:30 to 7:30.
Okay, so 5:30, both nights.
Great.
Thank Thank you, Lisa.
Good. That sets us up
Perfect.
perfectly.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
So actually, we've talked about, I'm just gonna skip over David for a second, I'm sorry. We've given you a draft schedule, and one of our goals was to talk about, the future town meetings, but we've determined that we can schedule that, based upon our schedule. That's good. This is, well, I think we may just put in the RFQ some milestone dates, what we expect from the designers at a minimum, so that they understand what our schedule is. And this is a rather aggressive one, so, and they may even be able to do better than that. So we'll put some milestones in the RFQ and have those for discussion next Tuesday.
We just need to make, sorry,
Yep.
Jack, we need to make sure that as soon as they give us the dates, that Ally has them so she can post the meeting, because we would hate for her not to have the meeting posted.
Right.
All right.
I'll have her post everything we've got already, all right?
Okay.
So, looking at the schedule here, the anticipated start date of construction will be around between March and April of 18. When do you, so, shouldn't we have a vote sometime in, like at the fall town meeting of 17?
We're not gonna have the,
You won't have bids in
We won't
hand.
have our bids in.
hand. So, you only got that short.
that's gonna move,
So
we can move all of that.
Yeah, because you only get January, February, March then, right?
So, oh, is it? Oh, that's not me. Yes, I'm sorry. I meant to turn that off. We can move the, one of the things that we'll have to do, I apologize, as we get closer to that bidding duration, we can talk and set our town meeting, and depending upon its schedule, because you'll have to have an election after that as well. So what we'll build into the specifications that the contractor has agreed to hold their price, because by law, you have to award within 30 days of the bid. And that may not, depending upon your schedule and everything else, may not be able to happen. So we'll incorporate in the documents what are expected when the contract would be awarded. And we're looking at the earliest right now, we could have our bids in hand the end of January. And this is just a draft schedule. I hope you can appreciate that. So depending upon how the designer moves forward, again, we may be able to cut it short, but what's difficult is receiving bids during the holidays from Thanksgiving on. So it's usually better to have it after. But we can work through that. And the idea would be to try to get that award, or the town meeting and the debt exclusion scheduled as close together as possible after the first of the year.
Right, so if we did the town meeting in mid-February and did, I think Jackie needs,
The ballot in March.
yeah,
45 days.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So why don't we put those milestones in our schedule, just so we have something to be thinking about. And then, once the designer's on board, we can firm this up. We don't like to dictate to them too much what their schedule will be, but we'd like to give them some guidelines. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So, really, that, we've covered just about everything in a very short period of time.
Can I just go back, though?
Yep.
If we get our programming done sooner, if our programming is tightened up, then we can shift that back a little bit.
Correct.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as long as, like, especially with these guys, as long as they're programming, and, well, all of us, but I mean, they know exactly things that they want in their building already, then the programming part of that should go fairly quick. programming,
Yeah.
not necessarily the design part of it, but,
I agree. One of the traps that, that we see communities falling into sometimes is the difference between, with all due respect, wants and needs. And a good architect, good programmer, will listen to the department, to the operations, and will listen to the town as far as what their growth projections are, and look at the entire department, look at the town, and take the operational requirements and then present to you what they believe the department needs for a facility. And then that way, 9 times out of 10, they always come out to be the same, but then it's an expert telling or just prescribing to the town what what other communities have done and how they're dealing with that. So, but a good programmer can go through with the department very quickly and have a program within a week. So you've got most of your work done. You've been contemplating this for quite a while, but letting that firm come in and just ask the questions, and I like to see them present to you what they believe is the ideal solution. And you know, in most communities, there's some back and forth. We need more of this because of this. We don't need this because of that. So, but I agreed. It does go very quickly, and it'd be great to get right into schematic design. Good thing is you don't have to go through site selection process, which
Right.
can take months. So I think we're ahead of the ballgame.
right, so we can, as we get closer, and maybe as you guys start talking about it more in the department, and try to do some pre-game stuff,
Yep.
this may even be able to be moved up even a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you're gonna run into the holidays.
Yeah, we went into that. I was looking at that, Lisa, and I just said, oh, man. But, you know, we've bid projects through the holidays before. So, you know, it may just be that what you do is you just give them a
extend
little
it.
bit more time.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
right, okay.
You'll see too, when you start interviewing architects, you know, the ones that specialize in police station buildings are gonna be the ones that can program, you know, the quickest for you and move things. And there's architects that specialize in public safety, and they'll come to the top. You'll see when the packages come in, so.
Okay.
So we've covered a lot of ground pretty quickly as far as our schedule. We kind of know where we want to land with the designer RFQs, and we've set up our meetings all the way to interviews at this point. So this is excellent. So I don't know if there's really not a whole heck of a lot that we can do right now other than make some quick modifications, and we'll wait for your feedback next Tuesday, and then we'll get the document done, get everything advertised. So if you don't have any questions for us on that, maybe we could just roll right into David's
Yeah,
presentation.
right.
Absolutely.
Get comfortable
You
with the
guys
site.
good? Oh, go
One
ahead.
question. Is this document, could you send it to us electronically?
Absolutely.
So, is in Word?
Yeah.
So we can make our changes right on, in the red line and sign off on, these are our changes. No,
Yeah.
it's, if I wanna make changes on my part. because
Yes,
we're-
and
we're supposed to do it.
you'll track them,
I'll track them so
Yeah.
everybody can, yeah, that way they don't have to do it in paper.
as long as you're fine with that, Lisa.
I learned not to argue with him.
We'll do it,
I just wanna make it easier on myself,
Yeah.
that's all.
we'll do it the old-fashioned way.
I love doing it the
I'm the one
old-fashioned
who wants to
way.
get out a red pen here, and you want to use
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
come out in
love
red.
my
though.
red pen.
Yeah,
It'll
right.
come out in red.
Yeah, huh? Oh.
Okay.
David, you're on.
Thank you, Lisa.
You
Good
wanna
evening,
do-
everybody.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a poll in the way, but that's okay. That's, I think we'll manage.
One more question.
So, I'm David Kelly with Kelly Engineering Group. I know some of your faces, Bob, I know you from the planning board. Some of you might recognize me, but Lisa and Jack asked us to help with the site selection process a couple of months ago now, I guess. Lisa's been moving at a quicker pace, obviously, than what's happening here, but still, I think we're almost there. I think we've identified that what you've chosen initially is a pretty good spot for what you want to do. What we did, and I'm just going to hand this out just so you can follow along. These are, and the first one is sort of not really germane to the committee here, but it's kind of important when it comes to the
Do you have
site
enough for
selection.
everybody?
Yeah, I think I have. There's about 10 of them. I'm just going to leave them here.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. You don't really need to study it too much, but it'll give you an idea how we got to where we got to.
Or do you only have one? All right.
You want your
I'll
own?
share, no, I'll share with you.
Yeah, I got,
You got two? All
I
right.
got more than two.
Yeah, well,
Would you like your
Bob,
own?
you got one?
Look over, Bob. Ben's neck.
There's
Ben's
enough.
neck, Bob.
You take them.
This one? Everybody's happy.
Oh, that's it too.
Yeah, same one. Same one you got.
I didn't mix it. No, there's the-
So before we even get to that, the first thing we had to do was understand the property. And the boundary is fairly complex because we often find that when there's municipal land that was acquired one way or another over the years, and oftentimes sort of roads are created in a different way through the property. But we've solved the boundary. When I talk about boundaries, I'm talking a few feet one way or another. To our surveyors, that might as well be 20 miles. They don't want anything wrong. And then, in order to understand what's happening on the site, we did a topographic survey. We determined how the site grades, and you all know this property really well. You're it's just next door. I'm sure you've all looked at it, but maybe you didn't look at it quite the way we did. Just the process, just as a little background. We worked with an aerial survey company, Cole East, and they flew an aerial survey through the property. We worked with them then to locate that survey on the ground in the proper location, and then we proceeded to do some on the ground survey. This is really more of a working plan. It's not really the final document, and I want to tell you why in a moment. It's not final. It's essentially we could press a button and deliver you or your designer when ready a final plan. But I do want to talk about one item in a moment. So essentially, we send our surveyors out and we figure out all the monumentation on the property and understand the boundary in its entirety. Then we tie into points that the aerial company provides us with so that everything comes together. And the plan that comes back and that we work with is essentially a plan that shows how the site slopes from bottom to top, where there are physical features. This is obviously the school here. This is Chase Road. And here's your DPW building, and obviously we're over here. And what we found is that, and you probably know this, but essentially the Chase Road is reasonably flat across the front, and the property rises about 50 feet back up to the school. So there's quite a bit of topography. So when we took this information and used it as a guide to sort of position a police station on the property. So this is the same orientation. The boundary isn't shown on this plan, but it essentially looks like this and comes back up in this direction here. So if you look at the little exhibits that we provided you with, it shows, if you go to page 2, I think that's more the important one for the subject here. What we try to do is figure out, what are the components of a facility like this? And these gentlemen probably know it far better than we do, but we thought maybe the best way to position a block rather than just drawing a square on the plan was to actually go and see a real facility. So what you're seeing here on page 2 is essentially one of your neighbors' new police station, the Acushnet Police Station. You're probably familiar with it, I'm
We
sure.
visited it. Yeah.
You visited it already? Okay. And what's really cool with modern GIS and GPS systems is all we had to do was go to an aerial map. It actually when we create the plan that I showed you in a moment, we can insert aerial photographs in it for the whole state, and zoom out and get to a property like this at the same scale. And then what we did is essentially recreated this by sort of digitizing the limits of this building at scale, and that's really what you see here And I'll zoom in on this in a minute and sort of explain the components of it. But so you visited it, so you our best estimation was that the building size is about 12,000 square foot footprint. They might have a mezzanine. Obviously, we didn't visit inside. You may know there might be a second floor mezzanine for storage. Or okay, it's all on one floor. So they're about 12,000 square feet. They have about 32 parking spaces. It appears they have about 6 visitor spaces, and it's new. It was built in 2015 plus or minus. So it seemed to us to be a good comp. It's an equivalent population to Freetown. It's probably around where you're looking. I heard you saying earlier it's in the range of 11 to 15. Obviously they settled on this. I don't know how they got to the final conclusion. Maybe there was some reduction of square footage over the time. I mean, that's what we see with a lot of these types of facilities. You kind of look at everything you want. I heard this story earlier, and I've been involved in building committees for schools in my town and the like, and you kind of have your wish list, and then you get what you really need ultimately, and try to do your best to fit it in the best space. So in the big picture, though, and if you looked at the topographic plan, you can see that it's reasonably level down near the intersection, and it gets quite a bit steeper as you move up here. It's reasonably level here, but it gets a lot steeper as you head up to the school. So, though it's not set in stone, and none of this is, it seemed that as a test spot, this would be the likely area to put the facility. The other building shown on there is a library. What if we want to add a library to this site? I mean, clearly what this starts to show is there's loads of room for you guys to do whatever you want on this property. You probably knew that. This just tells you right there in front. And just even though it's not really important to this discussion, we did the same exercise and went to Lakeville, which is it's an equivalent community size-wise. And the building there is about 16,000 square feet. It's a reasonably new library. It would have been built under some of those grants provided by the state. It's 2005. They have about 44 parking spaces. And I think you're going to find that's pretty much typical for a library, for a population, an equivalent population. So again, just to try to find something that made sense relative to what you might consider when you get to that program somewhere down the road. I know the police department doesn't care about the library, but we figured we better show it. So I'm going to just zoom in on this, and it shows you the components of this was another option that we talked about, but this is the option zoomed in on that we have that we focused on. So what we would imagine, again, this is very preliminary, and it just shows it fits more than anything else. We would assume that that the main entrance would be off Memorial. It doesn't have to be. The main entrance could be over here. You could flip this, but we said that sort of makes sense, just the way the site lays out. So we show the building here. Again, it's an identical footprint to the one you visited. And the visitor spaces are up here, and I believe they have this gated off the rear section, so possibly this would be gated off in the rear. I think they have a drive-in door here. Maybe there's some equipment that they need to move into the building. So it seems like that would be a component that you might want to have as well. And then we showed a secondary driveway back out to Chase Road. Again, this could all flip, and Chase Road could be the primary entry if the town felt that was important. So this fits quite well, obviously, on the property. Just as a placeholder here, we've shown it set back from the road with the thought that there might be a stormwater management pond down here. It all again slopes in this direction. It kind of makes sense. The site entirely slopes in this direction. There's what appears to be a small wetland system located along Chase Road. I apologize for the spelling on that. I think it's C, right, instead of S, but there you go. And there's a culvert that crosses about here and then extends across the street. There's a channel along the side of the road. It appears to be a wetlands channel, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So the idea was to have the entry here, and utilities would come from the closest point, obviously, and there is no sewer here, so there'd have to be a sewage disposal system. We'd have to at some point identify when your designer comes on board, your architectural firm, and they kind of zoom in on the area, working with your committee as to exactly where they'd like to put this. But we think this is a pretty good spot. It seems to be a very central spot. It's very close to where you currently are. Folks could easily find it because it's right at that intersection. So it seems to us to be a pretty good spot for the police station. Whether it's this configuration or something different, I don't know. But it's probably going to look something like this from a component standpoint. We looked at some others that are not quite as new, and they all seem to have those same components. Building area, some visitor parking in front, room for the police vehicles and employees in the back, and some sort of a loading area and possibly a drive-in area. So it seems to be a pretty typical program that we saw time and time again around the Commonwealth. So that's essentially the program. We put the library here in this case. In this case, we slid the library up the hill a little bit. Again, I don't know, Lisa, if you had suggested or somebody had suggested this as another option. That could happen as well. We've lined it up with the driveway into the existing police station as an option. That would put this on its own. I think it can be separated no matter what way you decide to proceed with this. So essentially, those are that's what we've done. I think the conclusion is there really is no problem. I mean, there's a bunch of boxes still to check when you get to the next stage of doing definitive design documents with your architect and their engineer. Those boxes essentially are sewage disposal. There shouldn't be a problem. You have sewage disposal in all these facilities and in the school. We don't anticipate there's an issue with that. The soils appear to be good from the soils maps, so we haven't done any soil investigation on the ground. Stormwater management, all the things that you're familiar with in a property would have to be evaluated here, but we think you can do it without too much fuss. So I think you chose a good site for this, and it really does look like it's a good fit. If I could just flip back here for a moment, one item that we had sort of been emailing back and forth, Lisa. I mentioned a moment ago that there's an obvious wetlands channel down along the front of the site. It's actually here, with a pipe across the street. The drainage runs down to this point, but there's also what appears to be a wetland system back over here, and we see that from the GIS mapping. So DEP creates these layers that show where wetlands are expected. It does appear, it seems odd that the wetlands is up on the side of the hill, but that does happen if you get restrictive layers underneath. There's clearly a wetlands back over here, we just don't know how big it is. What we suggested, Lisa, and we've been back and forth on email, is that we established a budget, I think, of $20,000. To date, we're at a point where we could still have a wetlands consultant go out if you felt that was warranted. It certainly, in my mind, is warranted here. You might as well know what you have. If you want to hit the ground running, we should be able to when you have your designers on board, be able to send them that plan, and they should be able to run with it and not have to worry about items like that. It's your property. If you were looking at this as a potential purchase, we might think of it differently, but it's your property. You ought to know what you have. So we're suggesting that we have already received a proposal from a third-party wetlands consultant, John Rockwood with Ecotech Inc. I know you're on the Conservation Commission. I'm sure you know John well. Very good. We work with them all the time. We would have them come down and delineate those wetlands, and then we would just survey the ends of it. I think I mentioned, Lisa, that the survey aspect might push us a little bit over that number, but we'll be real close, so we can talk more about it.
Coming up the hill.
That's why I wanted to hold off, because that's really a committee decision
Yeah.
on whether we're going to go down that road.
Yeah.
David,
Sure.
coming up the hill from
Yeah.
the proposed site toward the school,
Yes.
any wetlands between the school and that site?
There's no GIS wetlands, and I don't think there are any. But as a part of the work that John would do is we would have him, we know of these two, and then he'll walk up and down the property and tell us, watch out for this, don't, no need to worry here.
Okay.
But we expect it's going to be here and here. And this is obviously.
What was the quote he gave you?
I think it was in the order of 3,000 plus or minus for the delineation and the investigation of the entire investigation of the property.
So he'd do a full site survey?
He'll do a full site investigation and he'll delineate any wetlands that are on the any resource areas that are on the property, wetlands included. Yeah.
Do you need to know before you leave?
No, you just let me know whenever you like, and we'll get
Well,
them.
we're gonna
we'll
take a
schedule-
vote
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
talk about it before
Right,
he leaves,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, we'll schedule them. I think we're going to be really close. I mean, we did pretty well on this. The aerial company came in at a good price and they did their job, and we've been holding off on just this final cleanup until I get direction on. There's no point in sort of
Yeah.
generating this plan until we know we are or are not going to add the wetlands to
Yeah.
it. So. Sure.
Based on what you've seen
Yeah.
so far, is there anything that would preclude either building having a basement, full basement?
So the issues, I don't think so. I mean, the site slopes up quite well. The soils appear to be fairly well drained, which means that you know, groundwater is probably quite a bit below grade. I mean, I guess I should ask a question. Does the current police station have a basement?
No, it
Does
doesn't.
not.
But
Okay.
we kind of were looking to have one.
Okay.
But
No,
that
the-
wasn't the reason
Okay.
it wasn't wetlands that
That's
caused
right.
the no basement.
That's right.
It was dollars.
Okay. Now, well, I was going to ask because, yeah, if it was high groundwater, or if there was a basement, I'd say it's more likely not a problem because this is almost the same grade as your current police station.
What we see continuously during rainstorms is obviously the water runs downhill.
Yep.
And there are times when it overwhelms that particular locus. It floods onto the street, etc. So we have serious concerns about water in that area invading any basement, any building, parking lot, etc. And whatever culvert exists there, I don't know if it's, you know, how wide it is or how,
I think it's a 24-inch, but I'm not positive. I was looking on the plan, but it's so small I can't read it.
so
on the scale.
I think in reaction to that, either the current highway department or the predecessor highway surveyor dug that ditch that runs along the side of the roadway in an effort to abate the problems with the water. But I see potentially if there are more construction, between that proposed site and the school, now you're going to have asphalt, cement, and other impervious materials, and you're going to have even more water running down into that proposed site.
Right.
The other point I would make is a station in closer proximity to the school would obviously put us on a higher ground, but also would allow us some security and safety features in terms of evacuation of youngsters directly from the school onto the police station grounds, etc. So those are two of my thoughts as I see this.
Maybe I could answer each of them as best I can. Again, these are all conceptual and preliminary plans, but so relative to stormwater, as these gents will tell you here and here, you'll have to design this so that there's no net increase in runoff from this site. That's the rule, and unless we find a way around it, those are the rules. So how we'd accomplish that is we feel that a attractive sort of dual purpose, it would look nice and would also form a stormwater facility in front of the building would temper the flow from the site. It would pick it up from that asphalt and roof and slow it down and then slowly release it out so that there's no net increase that might impact the neighbor downstream. Relative to sort of localized flooding in this area here, I could see how that happens. I mean, it's a good size hill. It's a small pipe, maybe, for starters, the drain could be cleaned out. We could talk to, is it still Chuck?
Yes.
Is it- Okay. We can talk to Chuck and get a better understanding somewhere, when you move this forward a little further. Relative to groundwater, we haven't done any investigations. I suspect that we would be able to design this just as a guide here. This is elevation 183. This is elevation 175. So your building would be up here somewhere. We'd probably, if you came from this side, as we've suggested on our plan, you'd be entering about 183 plus or minus. I suspect the floor is going to be about 181, 182, and the street's 175. You're probably going to be fine. But if the basement is a part of your program, one of the earlier things in the design process will be when you get that preliminary design done in that process, will be to do some geotechnical see what's underneath the ground, see where groundwater is, make sure
Moving-
there's no rock.
Yeah, moving a little further up the hill
Yep.
on Memorial Drive.
Yep.
What's that egg-shaped feature there?
So what happens here is that there's dense trees. And I bet if we brought up the aerial photo, we'd see why. There's probably dense evergreen trees in that location. So the aerial photo doesn't pick them up properly yet. This is the area.
Okay.
So the aerial photo doesn't pick them up. So what we do is we supplement it. We go in and take some shots in the middle and make sure that that there's no
Yeah.
surprises in here. And essentially that those contours just run across.
Yeah, okay.
And the same happens over here. And this happens when, they fly these in the fall
Yeah.
when the leaves are down. But if there's evergreen, thick evergreen, they can't pick it up. And
Yeah.
it's typical of an aerial
Yeah,
survey.
okay.
That's
Thank
what
you.
that is. Yeah.
Do you see an option here with the grade differential to, if we were to go with a basement, a walkout basement?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Again, if you start up high enough, I would think if you were going to do that and, you'd establish this elevation as a starting 177, so the floor would be up at 187. So I think it's just playing with the grades. And yeah, I think you have options for your program here.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, probably more than you might have on many sites.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead, Mary.
Was there some reason you didn't move it closer to the elementary? Why you
Well-
chose that corner
well,
right on
yeah.
the main drag?
The main reason is that it's more level. So if you look up here, the building would have to be in this area here. And if you look at these contours, so this is 215 plus or minus up at the school. I suppose you'd be going down to in the order of this is 200, I think, right here. That's 210. So 200. So there's almost a 15 feet drop across this area here, when there's only about a 5 or 6 feet drop across this area here. So the result of that is you have to cut in on this side and fill on the other side. So we chose this as an area that was sort of a natural starting point. When you build your first project on this piece of property, and it seems to me you want to do the most cost-effective project, and I'm sure that's the goal anyway.
Because we've got the future to think about
Yeah,
other buildings.
sure.
And so it harmoniously works together
Yeah.
and not just think
Of course.
of one building. We're trying to
Understood.
think of all these and,
Right.
and on that corner.
Yeah.
And where it's best for the police department to work too.
Absolutely. I mean, as you go further into this, and maybe the program that these gentlemen described earlier will help us answer some of those questions. Does it make sense, to have your main driveway here or here? We also felt that since the police station was here, this was a logical spot. But from a topographic standpoint, it does make sense from an elevation standpoint and ultimately site cost standpoint.
Does anybody have any questions?
I think the consideration that we'd want to at least take a look at, maybe the cost would be a eliminating factor, but a walkout basement would seem to work better further up the hill.
Yeah, I think you could make it work anywhere, Jack.
Yeah.
Even on this plan here, and I probably should have overlaid the topography on this, but we can do that. There's quite a bit of slope back up this way, so as you move the driveway, you would set the driveway to get that walkout. If that's a part of the program, I think that just needs to be that will decide the final choice of the location.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so
Okay.
many factors here. We just took another police station and dropped it on here. It seemed
Yeah.
to make sense.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Can I have a general consensus from the board to have David and Kelly Engineering move forward with the investigation of wetlands?
So moved.
Do you want to do the entire site, Lisa, or do you want to focus on the area of interest in that corner?
No, it's
The
up
whole
to the
thing.
board. I would think that
We
you
planning on
was to
using
do
that
it.
for other
I think
things?
might as well do the whole site.
Let's do the
Yeah.
site.
As long as you can get it within
Know what we
budget,
have.
it's not,
Yeah.
if you get it within budget, that's fine. If you're gonna go over budget, I mean, that locus is more important than a locus. Someday, maybe in the future, we'll investigate this area, but
I
But
agree with you.
you said for the 3,000, he was
Yeah, they
going
do
to
it
walk the
all,
whole
and
thing.
so I think it makes sense. They travel to the
Yeah.
site, and it's really not that much more
Think we
effort.
should move
My
on.
advice would be know what you own,
Yeah.
and then it'll help you
Yeah.
program
Right.
your next project here as well.
the other
Yeah.
question I had is geotechnical.
Yeah.
When should we look at geotechnical? Because that may determine what kind of building we end up building. I think some of the consensus of the committee is we like to have the 2 floors, so that way some of it, just fact is masonry has to be, for the prison cells have to be masonry, so it makes sense to be subterranean. If that site doesn't lend to that, then we need to know that. So if there's a heavy ledge presence in that site,
Yeah.
or if there's, if we can't get septic into that site because of the soils aren't suitable, those are things we kind of have to know before we go any further, too far with a building plan.
Yeah, I mean, that's another step, and you have to decide when to do it. I mean, what I can tell you is that you have a sewage disposal system here, here. All indications are that you'll find the soils that you need for sewage disposal. These are not large flow facilities. I don't know, is it Chief, by the way? I'm sorry.
Colonel.
Chief, okay, so you're trying to fool me. I don't know what your total staff in the facility is, and it may get covered as office under Title V. I'm not positive. If it's office, it's 50 gallons per 1,000 square feet per day. Excuse me, 75 gallons per 1,000 square feet per day. So if you call it all office, it's not really, but that'd be times 12 is only about 1,000 gallons, which is really just 2 house septic systems. It's not a big system, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Relative to ledge, I think you got 2 choices. You can take the cost now, and it helps, the unknowns later. But my advice would be to get your process started, get your architects on board, get their advice and direction, and find out where they think the site, working with you, the building works best, and then find out what you have in that location. That's normally how we would go about it. And I think you're a little early. I mean, honestly, you could hire a geotechnical company and tell them do a boring here, and you could pocket the whole site, and then you'll know what you have. But there's a cost. Probably not worth it at this point, would be my thoughts. You'd be incurring a cost that you may not need to incur.
Yeah, we typically see the building, the actual location on the site agreed upon, and then that's where we would hit our borings. And a perimeter of that too, but I don't think you need to pocket the whole site at this point.
But I think if the general consensus is that's primarily where the site is, then we could actually move forward and be almost one step ahead, no?
The problem with that is that I think it could be done relatively quickly, but from a structural perspective, the structural engineer of record is going to require geotechnical borings directly beneath the new building.
Okay.
So if you spend a lot of money poking the site and then you locate your building and you don't have borings in those areas, you may have to go back and do more.
Okay.
So I think, is there any history on geology in the area? Is there that anybody has, or?
But just from the aerial photographs, you can see some, I don't know if it's outcroppings or what they are, but you had one of the aerial photos.
Yeah,
You could see some.
Right here. I didn't realize that there is. I haven't seen it, but
I don't know what that is in that area.
yeah,
Here.
Those are the,
looks like fallen trees possibly. It's hard to tell, but I mean,
There's a bunch of boulders
Yeah,
behind
a
the
bunch
school
of
from the
boulders.
construction too.
yeah, pushed down around the edge.
It's
Yeah.
both.
Bony is a good word, yeah. I don't think it's hard ledge, but until you actually have geotechnical,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's gonna be crumbly or.
what's the name of the wetlands firm again?
Ecotech Inc. ECOTEC.
Can I make a motion that we
Yes,
at least
you
have
can.
the wetland done completely?
Yes. you can. All in favor?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
The motion made by Sadik, seconded by Pontieri and Joes, and,
I fifth it.
You fifth it?
all right, just so we have it on the record, so when they transcribe this, they will know.
A quick question. Is there any history or knowledge of endangered species in the area?
We looked at all the Mass GIS,
Yeah,
all
we
of
looked
our
at turtles.
data there. There's nothing to worry about other than those wetlands that we pointed out.
We have some
No
special
spotted
spiders.
turtles,
There's special spiders. Special
no
spiders.
Indian burial grounds. Oh, boy.
I mean, we're not gonna have to raise 3 feet of the ground?
We'll
All right,
curate it.
I thought that somebody was gonna say, Chuck.
All right, any other questions? Is everybody good? Thank you so much.
You're
I just-
welcome. Yeah, it's an exciting project. I wish everybody good luck with it. They're always fun. Hopefully you're all still friends by the end of it.
Yeah, right.
Maybe you will be friends by the end of it.
All right, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rick? Taylor? Rick, Taylor, Rick? All right. We just have to do the minutes of the meeting. We need to approve the minutes of the meeting. Do you want this? Those are the emails of everybody.
Oh, okay.
Is that perfect? Okay, perfect.
Except Bob.
Bob who?
Oh, is that
Robbie.
for Robert?
I'm
Robbie,
sorry.
Bobby.
Robbie,
Robbie,
did
Bobby.
you put your email?
Probably not. Oh, I will though.
You wanna write it down?
I gave you
Well,
the
it's-
email, so.
Or
Yeah,
you just-
it's,
All right.
Andrews at, I don't know what it is, I don't email myself.
What's Robbie's
Alex.
email?
I'll have to look it up. I'll forward it to you.
All right,
I
that's
have
fine.
it.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 24th
Motion.
and January 26th? I have a motion from
second
Mark, I have a second from Ben, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Stay.
okay,
I do, yes.
everybody good?
Everybody set? Ready to adjourn?
Informative?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes?
Do we
Perfect.
have the other minutes?
No, it's not on the agenda, she's
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
specifically wrote the agenda
Next
down.
time,
Yep.
next time.
We'll be in touch just to review the agenda just for next week.
Yeah,
It
we'll
should
send,
be-
we'll send it out the end.
Send
Yeah.
send it to me, and then I'll make sure that I didn't add anything, because I'm gonna add the minutes and stuff, and then
Okay.
we can just do it together.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
And I'll look at forwarding the electronic version of this around tomorrow, and we'll send an update on the schedule.
Well, you send me an email, I can forward it to everybody.
Oh, yeah, if you still have it.
Yeah,
then
I have it, okay.
It might not be in Word, though. I think,
Yeah, I need
Oh,
a-
okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
we'll
I have to
send
send it in Word,
All
so
right, then you're in charge.
I'll take care of it.
All right, anything else?
Okay.
Do I have a-
We're just
Motion to-
gonna read through and make comments before the 4th.
Yep. Any questions, concerns, just write it all down on that, and then
Okay.
Do that.
we'll be good.
Motion to adjourn?
And we'll get the list of the definite, confirming the dates. The
Yes.
4th, the 11th, the 18th, the 15th, 16th, whatever.
Yeah, I'll have Ally put it all in for us.
Okay.
All right. I have a motion and a second,
And you
all
have
in
a
favor?
second? Aye.
All right.